Welcome to Word of Mouth. We're here to take you along on a journey as we explore a scenario that most Canadians are very familiar with, a visit to the dental office. Have you been to see a dentist in the last year? Chances are that you have, and this program may help you to understand the experience. We interviewed a number of Canadian dentists and asked them, what is driving you? What is your passion? Why did you become a dentist?
Well, I've always, as many young people growing up, we try to find our place where we fit into society. We try to find something that might interest us and where we feel valuable. And dentistry was the place for me. And it was a place for me ever since I was 10 years old, because I lived in a northern community in northern Ontario, and we didn't have a dentist there all the time. But boy, did the people pay attention when the dentist came to town, because they were in dire straits, and the lineups would be there. And in fact, my first contact with a dentist was a wonderful man who came in on the Canadian National Railway line in a coach, and he would come up to our school and he would check us all out in school with a tongue depressor and a flashlight, and then we would all get appointments and we would go to the dental chair during the day. They would take us out of school to do this. And by 5 o'clock, it was very dark in Hornepayne. And then the townspeople had their chance to get there. There was no waiting room in the dental coach, so they would line up 15 deep, waiting to have the dentist have a look at them after hours. And so I knew the dentist was a very important member of our community. And I know that it would have been nice if he could have been there a little bit more often, but in those days the dentists weren't available. We are so darn lucky today to have as many fine, well-trained dentists available to us. And we don't have to suffer all the problems and disruption of our lives and pain that the last generation did. And so I wanted to be a member of that team, and I wanted to help that situation out.
I like the aspect of dentistry that, I can make a contribution to someone's smile and, overall enhance their self-esteem and self-confidence. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a gathering where somebody's cracking a joke and, right at the punchline, when everyone's laughing, someone covers their mouth with their hand to cover their smile? Why? Because they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed to show their smile. This is where I wanted to get in there, and I wanted to be in that position to improve one's overall confidence and make them smile all the time. All in all, that makes a better person in the end. So that's why I decided, to make my contribution to society by becoming a dentist.
I became a dentist because I realized early on that life is short and precious, and I wanted to have the opportunity to make a difference. Make my life actually count in this world. And I thought the best way to do that was to be able to impact on many people's lives in a positive, helpful, productive way. And at the same time, maintain my excitement, my enthusiasm, and constantly be stimulated by that particular profession. I like building a little community around me, my staff. My staff are exceptionally important to my office, to my happiness and well-being, and there's a lot of dynamic going on. So there's a business aspect, there's a social aspect, there's the rewards of positive feedback. I'm meticulous, I like to do good work, my patients appreciate that, and I get that positive feedback. That's what keeps me going. That's why I wake up early every morning and I'm happy to go to work, because yes, I give a lot, but I get even more in return every day.
There is something driving, there's a driving force within me. And the driving force is to be there for the people. Share what you have. It's special, and you are obligated to share that. And I feel special that I can do that. I have people that actually they look at themselves and they start crying. And the crying is from tears of happiness. I've taken somebody who had absolutely no teeth and gave them teeth. I tell people that the eyes are the windows of your soul. Your smile is your personality. So for me to be able to help somebody to give back their personality, it's incredible. They're smiling. They're joyful. It's like a new lease on life. It is daily, all the different experiences. I had a young girl whose teeth were they were formed improperly. At 14 years old, could you imagine a girl going to school and being joked about, and she hiding her smile, not smiling at all because she didn't want anybody to see what she looks like. But at 14, we were able to bring her in and put some cosmetic bonding on her teeth and reshape them and make her teeth. I mean, it is incredible the feeling that she had when she looked at her teeth and she could smile. She could actually go out with her peers. I had a boy who never developed some permanent teeth. He had no permanent teeth. We had to put implants in and crowns and gave him teeth. And he had to wait until he was older to do that. I mean, all these are stories. I had an older lady whose teeth were worn down, I think the ravages of World War II. She came to me, she said, you know what, I don't have many years left, but I want to be able to smile. I've always smiled. I want people to see that I'm friendly. When everybody thinks that I look, unhappy or mad all the time. So to be able to give her some teeth that actually made her look, that she can smile and made her look friendly. I mean, every single one of these is so important to me. I mean, that's why I can go home at night and I feel so grateful for the ability for me to do this for people. I mean, it's an honor. I feel being a dentist, it's an honor for me to do that for all the people that I can see.
Doctor, you've met with patients from all over the world. What have you experienced when seeing the type of dentistry that they've received elsewhere compared to the type of dentistry they can receive here in Canada?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to work in an area where I see patients of many ethnicities. A lot of the times they come for the first time to a dental office in Canada and they sort of talk about their experiences back home. And in examining their mouths, the quality of work offered in Canada far by supersedes the kind of work they've received back home. And a lot of the times we're having to redo a lot of the work that's been done back home. So I think the latest technologies, the latest innovations, we're fortunate enough to get first crack at a lot of them and offering them to our patients. And the value of dentistry in Canada, I think, makes that possible. People care about their mouths here. People care about getting a checkup at the age of 3 or 4 for their kids. Whereas the values, I think, aren't present in other countries. So if you don't value something, you won't invest in it, you won't take care of it. So I think overall, just a general framework of society here is that we put emphasis on our mouths at a very early age, and we continue to take that as we grow older.
Our education has been so good. We have so many dedicated teachers who have taught us to do the things we need to do. We've had evolution in our field with our technology to just do things better than ever. And it wasn't too long ago that dentists really felt hopeless, along with physicians as well, for people indeed even dreaming about keeping their teeth. Teeth were something young people had, not people who were middle-aged anymore, because they were expensive and they were going to be lost anyway. Nowadays, we can truly feel that we can keep our dentition, our mouth, our communication device intact for the rest of our lives. And that will make us look younger, be healthier, and I think it keeps us whole for a lot longer. So, I feel very proud to be a part of this dental team and what we've accomplished in such a short time over the last 50, 60 years.
When I was a child, they weren't necessarily so good, but now we've got a high quality of dental care. I just think that having it placed solely in the private sector doesn't work towards having good general overall health.
Yes, I know that I guess in Canada and United States, or I guess we could call it first world countries, obviously the dental care is much better than in the developing worlds. And I guess people that immigrate to our country may need more dental care than the people that are born and brought up in Canada. But again, that being said, I think that it's a pretty high priority for us as Canadians, and I can say us as Americans, North Americans. It's probably a fairly important thing. I don't know as far as third world countries how much money they have for things like that.
You can't compare it. The kind of patients, the kind of dental work that we see is actually, you've never seen this type of dental work before. And it would never pass any kind of the standards that we would consider acceptable in modern day dentistry, even in 1982, but even now in 2012. Sometimes there's a lot of work that we have to change. Like there's a lot of work that goes that gets bad over time or that fails, and we need to take care of that.
Oh, we've got top class dentists here. I'm originally from. I'm not from Canada. I'm an immigrant, but. The dentists in other countries, they don't have the tools and they don't have the resources to perhaps implement the latest technology. But the dentists in Canada, I mean, this is a world-class city, a world-class country. So you have to really be on top of your game in Toronto, especially, because people know their dentistry here, and we're used to good things.
Canadian dentistry is right at the top of the tree. You know, along with a few other developed countries, the United States, Switzerland, Germany, Canadian dentistry is right up there. There's no question in my mind that Canadians have access to some of the best dental health care in the world.
A patient could see 5 to 10 dentists and receive 5 to 10 treatment options. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think in a way it's a complex question and it's a simple question. Dentists have different areas of interest and different strengths. And also they pursue different enthusiasms in terms of continuing education and so on. So different dentists look at the same situation and see it with different eyes. So I think that's one thing. And secondly, any problem usually has more than one possible way of approaching it in terms of a solution. From my point of view, I try to, let me stop for a sec. I have an interview with any new clients or patients, and one of the things one of the simple questions I ask them is, would you prefer to have long-lasting solutions that cost more or temporary solutions that cost less? Invariably they say, I would like long-lasting solutions, but they pause and the question mark is quite obvious. They're worried about how much is this long-term solution going to cost. And I simply say, if that's what you're interested in, I'll always present that alternative to you. But if for any reason it's not practical for you to do that at this time, then we'll look at alternate ways of dealing with the problem.
Well, I mean, dentistry is as much as an art as it is a science. And there are quite literally several different treatments that might be acceptable depending on the patient's overall health, depending on their finances, depending on any number of things. For example, a patient who's missing a tooth could have a fixed bridge, which stays in place. They could have an implant, which replaces the tooth by putting a screw into the bone. They could have a partial denture, or they may elect to do nothing and just live with a missing tooth. All of those are, to some degree, a viable choice for the patient, but they all have different costs, ranging from obviously zero if there's nothing replacing it, up to, you know, probably the more expensive would be the implant. And the other issue is that dentists are differently trained. They have a different focus. Some dentists may feel that, oh, we don't want to put a filling in this tooth until it's very large. or until it breaks, whereas other dentists may say it's better to put a smaller filling in now, it's less expensive than having to treat something more advanced later. And we still live in an area where, in a country where I can decide that I want to spend my profit out of my clinic on continuing education, on equipment. So that has the cost. I may charge more for something because I'm more experienced at it. Someone else may charge more for something else because they're more experienced at that.
It's a very good question. And number one, any kind of any patient that comes to me, if they have a comprehensive case, I always tell them to go get a second opinion, so that just so they understand what is involved. But I would say that we have many dentists. You know, I think there's 8,000 dentists in Canada, and all of them are trained in different places. We're seeing patients from different walks of life. We're seeing all kinds of different issues, and I think that's. I believe that all dentists are genuinely want to take care of the patient. We are health professionals and we want to take care of you. I'm sure there are dentists, there are some dentists out there that are interested in making a lot of money and everything. You know, dentistry has offered me a wonderful life, but I'm very passionate about what I do. I care about the patient, and I want that patient to be taken care of as best as they can. Now, there's people that go around looking for all kinds of different treatments. There's people who want, I mean, the cosmetic industry wasn't started by the dentist. It was started by the demand for it. We are just filling the demand. We're helping people get to where they want to go. You know, people have been aging for years, but now in this generation, they want to take care of themselves. So if we don't educate ourselves for that, how can we deliver a proper service? So when you go to different people and you can get different quotes and different suggestions based on experience, suggestions based on clinical experience, and how many years they've actually practiced. I've been practicing for 30 years. So when I tell somebody that a tooth is going to fail over their lifetime, I know that because I've been there. I've seen teeth fail because of a certain circumstance like that. But we've also seen over time how gum disease has ravaged people's mouths and they've lost all their teeth. So again, it's the comprehensive care where we're looking at the whole person, and we also are trying to predict, something that is a little bit unpredictable. But experience gives us a little bit of a window into what may happen.
The best thing a Canadian dentist can do is to educate the patients. You know, a patient comes in, they usually come just to get a general checkup, or they come to address a certain issue. When we look in their mouths, we may find something different. You might recommend a certain treatment that they weren't ready for. But in order to bridge the gap, I try to get what the dentist wants to do or needs to do, and what the patient wants to get done or needs to get done on the same level. I find it's much easier to treat a patient who values the treatment that's being offered to them, and that can only happen through education.